Mason, you didn't even update the shirt catalog since
Yeah, Mason.
catalog since the last episode.
I
How
thought
do
he
I know
did.
what I've worn or not worn, Mason?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what I needed to wear, and then it's just like,
Well, considering you just have to remember what you did last week, it shouldn't be that hard.
This is hard.
it's
I
hard.
know.
Oh,
It's hard because you can't
Remembering
find
is
the
hard.
dang agenda.
great night. Electric Speedway. Chapel.
Yeah,
I
where
swear,
is our agenda, by the way?
And welcome back to another exciting episode of the Track Packer Podcast. I should be your pole sitter for this podcast, and I am Jessup Pelkey. I am hosted with the outside pole sitter, John Breckel, and we are waiting for Mason Eisenzimmer of Mason Aaron Racing Videos, who is now, look at him, Collinsworthing onto the screen. He is somewhere in the field as well, and we will get the late straggler as we work the track in or the podcast in as we are kind of in a holding pattern for Becca. So keep waving, everyone, until Becca gets going.
This is very fitting for the way the racing season has started, too.
And here she is, bringing up the rear of the field, Reba Pelkey. Oh, we're still waving.
Oh, there she is.
Hi, Becca.
Hi.
Becca, did you have to do an update tonight?
No.
Look at that.
All
She's
right.
with it. It's that
So
Mac
Mason-
computer she has.
So, Mason, who is our sponsors?
Well, our presenting sponsor, as always, for the Track Packers podcast is none other than Hitch Harness. And we want to thank Mr. Tyler Hall, who headlines Hitch Harness, for supporting us the last couple of seasons. Hopefully, he's going to be out on the track here this upcoming week to start his 2024 season. In the meantime, especially with the nice weather, you can head over to hitchharness.com and check out all the products they have, including the Hitch Harness product, specifically designed for efficiency and safe storage for your receiver hitches. You can check out some other racing items, including chassis dollies, pole bar brackets, and many other things on their website. Hitchharness.com is where you can check all that out. And thank you once again, Tyler, for supporting us on the podcast. And so I get a break from waving the green flag and we'll get to the lineup. And I am very nice on the lineup this week because, Becca, you still get to be on the pole because you're doing some important work, followed by Mr. Jessup Pelkey on the outside pole, John, and myself because, again, I'm the only one that causes cautions this year so far on the podcast. So, Miss Becca, how are you doing?
I'm tired. I've been up since 6 a.m. because I had a 7 a.m. Dakota Speedway board meeting. Then I went to work. I had an after hours work event. So I did go home for an hour or two, let the dog out, feed him, went to the gym quick, but then I had to go back to the racetrack for a 5 o'clock meeting. And then I went, after that, I had to go back to the office at 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock work event. I just got home, so I'm a little tired. So I'm probably going to start and park so I can go take a shower and crawl into bed. But I'm good because I am excited because this weekend, I think I know racing season finally started on Sunday at the Nodak Speedway in North Dakota, but I think more of North Dakota is going to open up this weekend with racing. And I'm excited to see all the drivers and where they're going to go this weekend. I'm excited to see the different streaming platforms that the racetracks provide. There's going to be lots of options out there. Be sure to, if you can't make it to the track, be sure to support them via the live stream. And then I'm excited to see who's all going to find victory lane. So fingers crossed, Dakota Speedway can race this weekend. And I have some hesitations. I'm a little worried, but hopefully the weather cooperates. We need sun. We need warmer temperatures. We need the rain to stay away. And the only thing that's going in our favor right now is the wind. And we need all four of those things. And right now I'm a little nervous, but I think our board of directors is very antsy to go racing. And I think they're going to do everything in their powers to race this weekend. But we'll see what happens. But I'm excited because racing season, I think, is officially upon us as more North Dakota is going to start opening up with their tracks now. So that's me. I'm tired.
But Becca, I mean, we're the Track Packers podcast. We go out there and pack the tracks. So if we need be, we can go out there and get the track worked in.
If you can get your car on the track. The racing surface is fine. It's the property around the track surface that it's a little moist and sloppy and extremely wet right now.
Well, I tried to stay as far away as I could during my travel adventures this last weekend, so I'm trying to help you guys out as much as I can.
It wasn't far enough, Mason. Can you stop the rain?
Who can stop the rain? I feel like that's a song lyric.
Stop the rain.
That is a song.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's a great song, by the way. Jessup, how are you doing?
Well, Mason, we've been busy and nonstop running between life, work, and attempting to find time to stay up to date in this thing called racing and our racing friends. So we've been busy.
Busy's good, though. Keeps us out of trouble.
Yep.
Mr. John Breckel, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing great. So, like you guys, I got to kick off racing season this past weekend. It was fun to attend an event at a racetrack and actually be there live in person, which we'll get to here in a little bit later. And like Becca mentioned, hopefully we have more tracks that are able to open up here this weekend throughout the state of North Dakota. As the week progresses, the weather is supposed to get nicer based on the forecast currently. So that should definitely play in the favor of several tracks to be able to host their season openers this week. So yes, but overall, busy with work, but having a lot of fun getting ready for racing season.
Excellent. Yep. It was good to see you at the racetrack this weekend. Like you said, we'll touch on that in a little bit. I just returned back to Fargo from Minot this past weekend. And so now I'm kind of catching up on the weekend's activities and getting all set for this upcoming weekend, which is hopefully going to be another busy one. That's the way I'm looking at it from here on out. All guns a-blazing for the racing season. So if this is your first time or if you're a regular listener, be sure to like and share each one of our videos. We greatly appreciate the support from the fans and listeners out there. Spotify, Google, and Apple is where you can listen to us in the podcasting form. And be sure to follow our Facebook page. And John shared on our page the other day, we still have some of those Track Packers beanies. So if you want some beanies to keep your head warm, especially on some of these cooler nights to start the year, be sure to get one a hold of us, and we'll be sure to supply you with one.
Well, and like Becca has mentioned, Mason, it's always beanie season. No matter what the weather or temps, it's always beanie season.
It is always beanie season. You can definitely find a good use for a good beanie. But with that, we'll officially wave the green flag and start episode 8 and get right into who or what are we repping. Since our poll sitter is a little bit preoccupied, I'll go ahead over to Jessup with who or what are you repping.
Well, I'm rocking another obscure racing shirt. It is Michael J's Racing. It's the card number 50/50, kind of a fun name. And if we go to the back, kind of a cool looking little shirt.
That is an interesting shirt. Wow.
Something different.
Yeah, you definitely don't see a number like that.
I like the number, to be honest. It's fun.
Now that would that card come out, I wonder during like intermission when then like a 50/50 raffle takes place, would be my question.
I would assume so, but you never know. Just never know, Mason.
Well, definitely that falls in the category of obscure shirts. So nice job on the obscurity there. Miss Becca Pelkey, who or what are you repping for this episode?
So this t-shirt was actually gifted to me by Jessup. back in our dating days. I am wearing a number 9 Kenny Schrader t-shirt. I don't recall where Jessup purchased this t-shirt from, but nice little Kenny Schrader dirt track t-shirt. And then on the back,
It's a nice shirt.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got
Jessup,
that
you done
down
good.
at. Didn't we get that down at Speed Weeks? No.
I wasn't there. You gifted it to me. So yeah, this week I found it in my pile of racing shirts. So, pretty cool though.
He's been doing a lot of racing to start 2024 as well. Awesome. That's a cool shirt as well. Mr. John Breckle, what are you repping?
So I decided to go back in time a little bit, and I am repping the 2009 WISSOTA 100 shirt from the Dakota State Fair Speedway in Huron. So it was the basically first year that WISSOTA went to a hole-on one WISSOTA 100 program back in the late 2000s. And Mom and I went down. We attended that show for all 4 days. There was a very scary wreck the first night as Danny Bayer got up and over almost into the grandstands. Catch fence caught him, kept him on the racetrack, but it ripped off the whole entire, basically top of the car. And they actually had to take him in for medical attention. He was fine. It was good to go. But besides that, no, it was a great week of racing down there. A lot of cars in attendance. A lot of great drivers that ended up winning. Buzzy Adams, he was by far the class of the field within the modified division. He walked away from everybody over there on championship night. And overall, it was just a fun time down in Huron during the 100 back in 2009.
Nice. And I never got to attend the 100 down in Huron. The first time I went was when it switched over to Fergus Falls. I would have loved to have seen the 100 at Huron because I hear a lot of great stories of the atmosphere and just the spectacle of it being in Huron.
There was definitely a lot of people in the grandstands. So the grandstands were packed for us too during that period of time. And yeah, racing wise, I'm a little biased on this one too, but I've seen the 100 at both places. I definitely prefer Fergus from a racing perspective over Huron, and I think it's just because Huron's track was always so tacky, like they would keep it tacked up, that it took a while for passing to truly like happen in the future events, everything else. And I just feel like less equipment gets wrecked in Fergus compared to Huron, each and every year during the 100. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion on what it's like on that one too. But yeah, I've attended basically the 100 in Fergus Falls since the time it started, going to Fergus. So yep, so we'll be over there again this year.
Nice. Well, that's a nice trip down memory lane with that shirt, and I'll close things out with who or what I'm repping. Repping Tyler Hall for the hat this week. Dug in the koozies and found an Haley Lee 50H, and then she's now Haley Dykoff. So congratulations to the Dykoffs on getting married over the off season, and they just had their first child over this winter as well. And kind of going to touch on it in a little bit in the results. And then for the shirt, I'm repping a winner from this weekend, Ben Walden in the 50. He drives a WISSOTA late model and also a Gen X late model. And this shirt's from a few years back, and he's from Fergus Falls himself. So, of course, being his hometown track, you can see him there. He doesn't really venture out too many other places. And so maybe one of these days he's got an entourage following him. He's got a lot of kids in the pit area and all sorts of people. So he doesn't really venture too far away from home, but maybe this year he'll venture out a little bit more with some more late model races taking place in the region. So that is who we're
Mason.
Oh, go ahead.
Mason, there's 3 individuals out there that put on a little shakedown program for a special event. It is part of the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede that'll be happening here in September. It's actually going to be on September 20th and 21st. And Ben would meet that criteria to be one of those drivers that would get a free entry fee into the late model field of the Stock Car Stampede. So, Ben, if your supporters and you are listening, keep that in mind here after the 100 in September.
He'd be a good addition.
You would.
Excellent. Well, that is who or what we're repping for episode 8 of season 3. And with a trip down memory lane, we want to give a shout out to our good friend Isaac Sondrol, who kicked off his racing season this last Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. Thank you for supporting us as we embark on the Hot Sauce Hot Memory Rewind. If you're in the pits, you can check out Isaac in his IMCA modified number 12S. Check out his new trailer. Check out all the new things he's got going on for this year. He's really excited for this year. He was a little nervous heading into this weekend, but got the cobwebs all shaken out and had a pretty good opening night for the 2024 season. So thank you, Isaac, for supporting us on the podcast. Jessup, the floor is yours. Who do you got for us to try and get us stumped, I guess?
Well, just to review the rules, John is the main person we try to stump here, but we also have Mason and Becca who can join in and be lifelines for John. The two main areas and criteria that they have to hit is the year of the photos and the drivers. And sometimes part 3 is fact checking the photos, the labeling of the photos. So we got some fun ones here. These are going to be a little more challenging than last week, I think. So, John, you ready?
I am ready. Last week was a sweep.
Yep. I don't know if you're going to get all of them this week. So we'll start with the first one.
Ooh. And affordable. That's an interesting one. Okay, so I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I am going to go, for some reason, Sean Anderson is in my head. I don't know why, but he is in my head. And I'm going to go with him for the driver of the late model. I don't think that's correct. But for year-wise, that looks like a 1995.
You're close. You're close. Mason?
I got nothing for that
Well,
one.
John, I'm going to say you're incorrect on both.
Okay.
But you're close on one of the two. Now, this driver is one a more well-known late model driver for the era.
John Hankemeyer.
There you go, John.
And it's from 1996.
It is, but you don't get points for that because you already guessed.
I still get show points.
You ready for number 2?
Yes.
All right. Go here. Oops. Go like this. This is kind of a Iron Range legend, or a very well-known driver, Iron Range.
Oh, that is Tim Aldor. What's his last name? McCain.
Nope. Close. But it is not McCain, but I'll give you McMahon. But which McMahon is it? Is it Tim or Danny?
That's a good question. Dan, I think, right?
This would be Danny McMahon.
That's what, yeah.
I like the number on that.
The 11D, yes. Classic number, still driven by Tim McMahon. I think last year was going to be Tim's last year from the rumblings we heard when we were over at the Silver, but that can always change. Tim uses the 11D number to carry on kind of an homage to his brother, so kind of a cool deal. All right, last one. This one might be a little more challenging, or you might get it right away. Let's see if I can get the photos all lined up.
I got nothing on this one either.
I'm not sure on this one.
He still races. Has a daughter who's racing. A little south of us.
Was that Kent Arment?
It was. Kent Arment.
29. Wow.
Boy, that must have been.
Way back. He might have been just stepping in
That
for
might have
someone.
been a That's a good point. That actually probably was just probably a car that he was driving because I don't think he was full-time into late models yet by that period of time.
But we got a pretty fun night for our photos for you guys. John, you did pretty good once you got your hints. Lifelines, do better.
I'm sorry, no help on those.
Yeah, the lifelines were like no help from Mason. At least Becca was there in spirit, but Mason was like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
No. I'm not well versed in late models from like back from like 2001 and older. Not
So I'm
good.
looking at these photos real quick. Look at the back pillars of these. So that's kind of what we expected of the traditional
Mhm.
mid 90s, early 2000 look. But look at Danny McMahon's back pillar.
Oh, it's
So
kind of.
good.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what they do nowadays
Yeah.
with the
Yeah, it
opening.
is. It's very similar.
I also like how they have the sponsorship for Village Lanes up on the pillar and below the pillar.
I would agree.
That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty cool.
Well, that's
Nice.
what we got for you guys tonight. Always fun seeing what knowledge we have without going to the Western Wanderer.
Yep,
And
that
just
is
think,
true.
I didn't even have to go there tonight to get some of these.
Proud of you, John.
Proud of
You
you.
guys would be so proud.
Indeed. Well, yes, I think you kind of stumped us today, Jess, up on the hot sauce, hot memory rewind. Thanks for doing that as always. We have a pretty good track pack report this week. Before we do that, give a shout out to our other sponsor, The Real Deal with B1, Brody Carlsrud. Hasn't started the season yet, but hopefully this weekend we'll see the B1 IMCA stock car out on the track. Be sure to check out his podcast, The Real Deal with B1. He actually just uploaded an episode today on the 7th, and so he's on episode 10. Be sure to go out there and support him and check him out in the pits and at the racetrack as well. So thank you, Brody, for all you do for us, and hope you have good success in 2024. Before Becca pulls into the pits for the evening, which if this were the mid to early 2000s, you would have actually passed quite a few cars with how long you've been out on the track for a starting park. So you
Mhm.
and Jessup,
This is true.
got to experience a new track for the very first time. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
I was cold.
And this is where we insert the photo of how Becca is when she's cold.
Yes, and race fans, I will say when Becca gets cold at the racetrack, especially if she's not like working the event, she basically shuts down.
Mm-hmm. I can attest.
Did she steal any candy from small children?
Not
No.
this time.
Okay.
I watched the children collect the candy because I was cold. It was probably 50s. The wind was
At
blowing,
least it's okay. At least you have morals.
and and the rain was in the distance, so it was like a cold and wet cold. And I did not have the greatest time at my first visit at Fergus Falls. Cool facility. I was.
Would
Yeah.
you like to tag out and have me do the rest of the recap for you?
I'll do it. I'll take out this way. I stayed and watched the heats and the B mains, and then I went to the truck to warm up, and then the street stock feature hit the track. And after the 5th or 6th caution, I was like, I'm over this. Turned the broadcast off, and I took a nap. I was tired as well. Like I'm tired.
Yeah, cold and tired for Becca is a lethal combination.
It is not ideal. I will say she's very beautiful and a very knowledgeable race fan, and usually fun to be at the racetrack with. But if it's cold and a wet cold, sometimes sitting in the bleachers is almost as fun, if not more. Alone.
I got her to smile in one of the pictures at least.
She did. You were one of the highlights for her.
I may have been in competition with Mr. Miserable Friday night.
Oh,
Oh man, yes. There is a Mrs. Miserable version of that picture too that did not get posted.
Ah,
Yeah.
we'll insert that photo here.
Hmm.
It's great. It definitely encapsulates Becca's feelings at that point of the night.
Let's be fair. I am naturally a night owl, and John and Mason know this because we have spent many late nights together discussing and watching racing. But ever since I've become pregnant, it's 9:30 right now. I am tired. All I want to do is
Take
go to bed.
take
And
a pit side.
and the fact that the heat races didn't end until 10:15 in Fergus Falls, and then we still had 7 features to go. I was like, ah. So yeah, I definitely went to the truck to warm up, and then by the time the street stocks, I knew we're not going to get it figured out. I just like, all right, turn the broadcast off. I'm just going to take a nap because we still had another hour of driving before we went to the hotel. But yeah, I was cold.
Some nights are like that, unfortunately.
Yep. All right,
Jessup,
Becca,
how
take a pit
would you?
side.
Oh, it looks like the mechanical black flag is coming out for Becca Pelkey. Not meeting minimum speed.
Well, let's break her down into different aspects of the night. Facilities, very impressed with the facilities. Great grounds, upkept well, looks really nice, looks sharp. Uh, can't say really kind of a cool layout, really big facility. I would like to know the backstory as to why there's so many bleachers. Because there is a lot there, and John, you'd know this a little better because you're a little more knowledgeable about Fergus than I am. Was did that used to be an asphalt track or no?
That's a really good point. Um, I'm not sure from the full-on history of it, but I do know, there was 2 I-94 speedways
Okay.
out there, and one was an asphalt that they turned into dirt. I don't know if it's the Fergus one. I think it might be Mason. Where was the other one at? Was it
It was in Sock Center.
okay?
Okay.
That one I think was asphalt at one point that they changed to dirt.
Okay.
This one,
I just
the one in Fergus was also asphalt for a little bit.
Okay.
So it was. So
Yep.
this is what me and Mason talked a little bit about. I'm wondering if they were expecting maybe an ARCA event or a Can-Am event
Mm.
to be there. And as my whole screen shuts down and I go completely dark. Anyways, I wonder if that's kind of the case because there's just an obscene amount of seating, and I don't think I can't imagine that ever being 100% full unless it's some huge event like that.
Well, and I always get a chuckle whenever like a live stream, like you know how you do like
Oh,
the
it looks
free,
dead.
the
The
live
track looks
look-ins,
dead.
and everyone comments like, "There's no one in the stands." It's like, well, if you're there, you see how big the stands are, and then there's this massive like tailgating section that surrounds turns 1 and 2. So a lot of people are in that section, and it's like, it's a big facility.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's
and in the
really
pit
big.
side grandstands, when you're over on the other side for where the pits are at, you can actually sit in those too, of like being as part of the ticket holders for the general admission side for the just regular spectators. You can walk around and go over there. Those are huge too. There's a ton of grandstands over there, and then the food trucks there, and that food truck is actually really good. There's a lot
Hmm.
of really good food that's in that food truck. Um, but no, like Mason said, I chuckle every year when I hear people like, "Oh, there's not that many people there for the 100," and it's like, no, there's a ton of people here for the 100 based on the way that everything is flowing from a grandstand perspective and tailgate and camping perspective. So,
Yep. Yep. The tailgating thing really opens up a lot of seating for people. And it's a really cool aspect that a lot of tracks either can't or miss out on that opportunity. Um, I know me and Mason were talking about it a little bit. That would be a fun track to watch a asphalt race at, I think. Just the banking and the actual lengths of the back and front stretch. I think it would be really fun to see a track like that race. on asphalt, but it's better that it's on dirt, I think. But yeah, that's my initial thought of it. It was really nice looking. Would rather be there on a night where it's not freezing cold and damp. Concessions were good. I thought the workers were really nice. It was nice to see Mr. Shaw out working on the track rather than, whereas some people will race their own track. I think it shows that he's putting the fans, spectators, and his competitors and fellow workers ahead of his own wants and needs. So that's kind of interesting. It was good to see that. Racing itself, besides the mod race where Gerke made Tyler Peterson looked a little foolish there in the first opening 2 laps. Not a whole lot else happened besides a couple skirmishes in the sport compacts and the B mods, which is fine. But I think with the temperatures and the weather that they had, it probably would have helped them if they just loaded up the heats instead of running heats of 7 and 8. If they would have just did 3 heats of 10 or 12 or 2 heats of 10, because of another aspect we'll discuss, I think it would have been more beneficial for fans and drivers and overall comfort for everyone. Outside of that, I mean, there was some fun racing. Late models and mods were good. Yeah, I would say about that. Midwest mods were fine. Gen X late models were fine as well. Ben Walton, once he got the lead, was pretty sure that he wasn't going to give it up.
Which is funny because we did a little
Wager?
bet. I said, Jessup, who are you picking for this race? He's like, I'll take the field. Or it was like Ben Walden. I asked him, Ben Walden or the field? And he took the field. What a silly man.
Wow, Mason, just insult the whole field. If he gets one flat tire, he's out.
I still am betting on Ben Walden.
Gorgeous facilities. Pretty smoothly ran show. Braun needs to play music at intermission. Maybe not loud, but something. It was kind of weird sitting in the. It was something quiet in the cold, and I was like, we could have used something, just the background noise. And I didn't want to listen to the mouth breathers behind me. So with that,
it's a good assessment. I would say, like, the next time you come back, probably come on like a night where there's where it's like 20 degrees warmer for one, and
yeah,
2
for Becca, like 40.
Well, yeah, it has to be like 105 for her to feel comfortable.
Her exact words, Mason, were, I think I would have a lot of fun if it was 90 degrees out. And I was like, I'm driving along and I'm just listening to Beck tell me this, and I'm like, no,
that's even too cold for her.
That sounds exactly like something Becca would say. Yes, that's a good, come back when it's a little warmer and probably when there's not 180 cars, especially on an opening night. That is a lot, which that was kind of one of my takeaways. There's a lot of cars. 184 night 1, 178 night 2, a total of 222 different drivers. So that's a lot of different people coming in and out of the facility over the span of 2 days. And of course, with that being basically the only place within several hours to get some good racing laps in, definitely the hot destination for it. And so I will go through the results, kind of talking just a tish bit about each, but I'll do both days at once for like the Gen X late models. Ben Walden, guy I'm repping, won on Friday night, and Larry Samuelson won on Saturday. Now I gotta check. That was his first win for sure in the Gen X late models. I'm not sure if it was his first career win overall, but it was a very popular win because he's a local there. They had all the workers. They came down to Victory Lane and congratulated him. He got an ice bath, and it was a good celebration. So big congrats out to those two for the Gen X late model wins. Street Stocks was kind of a interesting set of races, especially Friday night. Had a few too many cautions for people's likings, I'm sure, but every class has a rough day. So hopefully they got that out of their system. Saturday night went better for them in that aspect. But Kyle Dykoff won the street stock race on Friday night. Very good battle between the top 5. Ty Egan, Tommy Pagonis, Jeff Ekdahl all put on a great show. And then on Saturday, Ty Egan got the win in front of Eric Riley and the rest of the field. It was another good race for the street stocks. Midwest Mods Friday night went to the Wildman Nate Ranke in the 71. He led every single lap and held off Brennan Waite, who was finished off 2023 on a very strong note. And then on Saturday, Matt Scow in the 2S, who also had a strong finish to 2023, held off Brennan Waite once again for wins in the Midwest Modifieds. So, and shout out to the Midwest Modifieds, 1 caution each night in their features. Great driving by the Midwest Mods.
The MWM SmackDown showed the street stock boys how to do it. Now, hopefully they learn.
I
will say, I really, really, really like Brennan's new paint scheme.
It's different,
Green,
isn't it?
Super nice.
His and Zach Ranke's I really liked.
Yes.
Both
yes.
look
Red.
Yeah. Both
and it's
going
like it's
way
a
off
pop
the
of
normal.
color. And it's a pop. It's not an over pop either because there's other like mixtures in there. It's just a pop of color.
Yeah, like because Brendan Park's typically off at turns 3 and 4, and I came in like at the normal pit gate, and I could see that car from all the way over there, and I'm like, whoa, that's insane. So, yeah, some sharp looking cars there in the Midwest Modifieds. Late models. Friday night went to Tyler Peterson, last year's national champion, and that was the last race that Jessup got to watch before he had to take off. He was entertained by the battle between him and Kevin Burdick because Kevin Burdick was throwing everything he could at him.
The slide for life.
The slide for life. Couldn't quite make it stick on Tyler Peterson, but a good one for Kevin Burdick in the 30 machine. And then Saturday, Shane Sabraski, the rookie in the late models, got his first late model win. That was a caution-free race, and the track was kind of getting a little bit of rubber, but you could still kind of race multiple grooves. Shane Edgerton tried to pass him through lap traffic, but just couldn't make it stick again, and Shane held off him, and the top 9 were within like a half a straightaway at the very end. It was getting pretty gnarly at the front of the field, and so great race in the late models, especially on Saturday. Modifieds, Friday night, Shane Sabraski got a win. I called it a butt whooping. Jessup called it a masterclass.
It was.
Yep.
Nobody was going to come near him, even with all the cautions.
Yeah, Shane Sabraski was in his own zip code, so big win for Shane Sabraski on Friday night. Saturday night went to the 2X of Brady Gertis. He took a little bit to get to the front of the field, but once he got out front, he was another one that's like you're not going to touch him. So strong start for those two in the Wissota Modifieds. Super Stocks, Shane Sabraski did a clean sweep of the weekend, winning both Friday and Saturday. I will say, Saturday he caught a little bit of a break. Dexton Cook got around him in lap traffic, and a caution came out before that lap got completed, and so that put Shane back in the front, and he was able to hold on the last couple of laps. And so, but great set of wins for Shane Sabraski in the Supers. And then the Hornets, now the Wissota Hornets, and they were in short trackers for the last several years, and now they're under the Wissota sanctioning. Jeff Roner out of Wilmer in the 08 doubled up on the weekend. Great race in the Wissota Hornets. Like, they put on a good side-by-side battle. It was a little contact throughout the racing, but you'll have that in the Hornets, and it makes things entertaining. And so congratulations to the winners at I-94 for their doubleheader this past weekend. And the other race taking place that we got to take in as a Track Practice podcast was the Nodak Speedway, which is the first race taking place in the state of North Dakota in 2024. I don't know if anyone of us would have probably guessed that, being it's on a Sunday night for one, but John and I got to take that in. John, what were your takeaways for Nodak Speedway?
Well, first of all, great job to the crew at Nodak. So Crack had a little bit of character here or there, but not bad by any means. It was a very good facility throughout the whole entire night. They had a very healthy field of cars, so 111 cars to be exact across the board, and it was fun. One thing that I hated to see, there was definitely some carnage in a few of the classes. For instance, the hobby stocks, they had 2 rollovers in the hobby stocks. One of them with Caden Appelt right at the front straightaway, right by the flag stand. He got into the wall at the start of the feature and was sitting there, and you just got basically pile driven into there on the front straightaway by a couple drivers, and there was definitely some cars that were destroyed there, and that's tough to see, especially on opening night when you're just starting the season out, and now you've got to regroup and reconvene for the rest of the season. So that part was a little bit disappointing to see, but besides that, a lot of drivers in new classes. That was one thing that was kind of the theme that I was picking up on a little bit on Sunday night. So there was definitely an influx of sport compact drivers over in the Minot area. So that part was nice to see as well. They had they had 16 sport compacts over there on opening night, so that was really nice to see. Same thing for like the sport mods. Sport mods had 31 cars the first night, so really good field of cars for the sport mods. Jessup, to your point when you were talking about Fergus, Minot did stack the heats. They were definitely stacked from a car count perspective. For instance, stock cars had 24 cars, they ran 2 heats. They did 12 and 12 within their heat range. So they did that for several of the classes throughout the night, and the show itself was very efficiently ran. I mean, they started at 6 o'clock, right on the start time when they wanted to start, and we got out of the facility a little bit before 10. So they had a nice show that was run efficiently, and there wasn't a ton of track prep done. I mean, there was track prep here or there, but not anything that was overly excessive by any means. But no,
with
it was
3
fun
red
to
flags
watch.
too.
Well, yes, with 3 red flags because we had three rollovers throughout the night. So that part was something to see. But besides that, no, they kicked off their season a great way, and it was a great night in Nodak for the first race in North Dakota for the 2024 season.
Yep, and just to kind of give an update on some of the drivers that were involved in the wrecks, I think Nate Jern rolled in the heat race in the hobby stocks. He did get a concussion out of that, but he seems to be doing well. Caden Appel walked away, and Harrison Schwartz was the driver who wrecked in the sport compacts. They both walked away. I believe Harrison possibly injured his foot or his leg in that wreck. So,
yes. Yeah, and Nate's rollover in the hobby stock heat race, he went into turn 3 and got a little bit too high and went off the banking, and it caught, and he barrel rolled it. I would say he rolled at least 6 or 7 times off the high side of 3 and 4. And yeah, he definitely it was definitely a harder rollover right away to start the season because it was only lap 3 or 4 within that heat race. So that was tough to see for him. But besides that, he luckily he's doing okay after that concussion too, because those are never fun.
Yep. So as far as the results went, because it was definitely an action-packed night at Nodak Speedway, Hobby Stocks kicked things off. We had Diesel Reynard putting on a great show with a couple of the front runners up there, Brenner Grinstead and Trevor Haas, swapping the lead several times with Brenner Grinstead, and Trevor Haas made a late charge, but Diesel Reynard started off the 2024 season with the win in the Hobby Stocks. He won a couple of races up at Motor Magic, which I completely forgot about, so definitely knows how to get around the Nodak Speedway to start off the season, and so congratulations to Diesel Reynard. Sport Compacts were the next class out. Another good field, like John had mentioned earlier. We had Ben Burke and Zach Hubanks put on a great show up front for the lead. They were swapping the lead as well throughout that event. It was interesting to watch the finish of that race because Zach Hubanks threw it in hard going into turn 3. Ben hit the brakes and was able to cut underneath him and beat him to the finish line in a drag race. And fun fact about that car, Jessup, you and I were at the car show. That was the sport compact that was getting raffled off.
Yep, that was the one that was raffled off.
Nice.
Yep. Drew Christensen won that raffle, and he's good friends with Ben Burke, and he's like, better get some stickers on and get your driving suit ready. So first night ends up in victory lane. So not a bad deal.
Nope.
So Nathan, speaking of Burks, is he related? He's got to be related to Nathan and those guys as well.
I think so. I was trying to figure out, like, when I saw him come out of the car, I'm like, oh, he doesn't look like, well, I know Nathan has a brother, and I don't think he's a brother, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, and there's got to be some type of relation there, though. I was thinking with that stuff. So
yeah, big win for him though. First race out, and he gets a win in a brand new car, basically. Sport mods, plenty of them out on the track. Gabriel Deschamps picked up right where he left off in 2023, and he got to the front running the bottom. And even when the top group was starting to come in, we had a couple drivers, Cole Hanshoe and Darren Schatz, working that in towards the end of the race. Still it was going to take a lot to catch that 21 machine of Gabe Deschamps. And so congratulations to Gabe Deschamps on the win there in the sport mods. Stock cars, great to see a full field of stock cars. awesome to see. Great turnout from Minot drivers, a couple from the Bismarck area, Williston, Canada. Even had Daniel Aberly coming from out west for his first time at the Nodak Speedway. So great field of cars for the stock cars. Aaron Olson and Mike Hagan were up at the front putting on a great show, battling side by side. Mike Hagan got kind of snookered Aaron a little bit on the last restart and was able to pull away and hold off that challenge from Aaron Olson to pick up the win in the IMCA stock car. So congrats to the mad one, Mike Hagan. And then mods finished out the night. Stephen Pfeiffer pretty much
was gone.
Yeah. He was all the way back to his hometown of Bowbells.
Yeah, at one point, Pfeiffer, I actually checked live time and scoring. He was over 5.5 seconds ahead at one point, so he was gone.
Yeah, it was not even close. So big congrats out to Stephen Pfeiffer. He wasn't even really planning on coming that night, and his son Sladen convinced him to come by. They were pulling into the track, I think, like at 10 minutes to 6, as they think when Porter came in. So nice late decision, and paid off for Stephen Pfeiffer, capping off the night for season opener at the Nodak Speedway. So nice to see racing get started in the state of North Dakota. Hopefully we have a few more tracks starting up this upcoming weekend, which leads us to the upcoming schedule with Mr. Dakota Dirt.
Now remember, race fans and drivers and promoters and everybody else, if you want your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news, results, and much more, you have to check out Dakota Dirt, dakotadirt.org, Dakota Dirt on Facebook. They are social. Remember, if you have any type of need, whether it is schedule, results, weather forecasts, or anything else with news articles, check out Dakota Dirt.
Thank you, John. We got a nice week of racing coming up for us if we can get everything in. Just got to see how Mother Nature plays with us this week. Again, said it last week, but still rings true to this week. Friday, the 10th, Dakota Speedway looks to kick off their 2024 season for the 4th or 5th restart, a pushed back date. Out east, Red River Valley and River Cities looking to get their season kicked off as well. Saturday has Devil's Lake in action, along with the Williston Basin Speedway, and Sunday it's back to the playground of power with Nodak. And that's what it's looking like for us this week. Hopefully everybody gets their racing in, and hopefully everybody can get out and support the tracks.
Yeah, hopefully we got the moisture out of the way earlier this week and don't have to deal with it with the upcoming weekend, and we get some good drying weather.
Yep.
We got a full slate of races coming up outside the state of North Dakota as well. We have Fiesta City Speedway scheduled to have their season opener take place this Friday. Red Cedar Speedway continuing their season. They've been fortunate to have a couple races. And then the Structural Buildings Challenge Series kicks off this weekend with a triple header starting in I-94 on Friday, going to the Viking Speedway on Saturday, which is going to be their season opener. And I believe first time late models have been there in a year or so, because they didn't have them at all last year. So
yep,
that's going to be fun to see late models on that half mile again. And then Sunday, the Challenge Series goes to Granite City Motor Park, which they were able to get their season open as well on Sunday. Saturday, we have the Dakota State Fair Speedway running on Saturday. North Central and Brainerd. Ogilvie hopefully going to start their season for the 3rd or 4th time as well. And Rice Lake is in Wisconsin going to try to get their season back underway once again. And Sunday, the Buffalo River Speedway scheduled to open up as well as the Casino Speedway in Watertown, South Dakota. So we have a lot of options for racing this weekend as long as Mother Nature cooperates and gives us a place to go racing this upcoming weekend, which is Mother's Day weekend. So keep that in mind, drivers and race fans. A lot of mothers out there in racing. Be sure to thank them for letting you do what you do in the racing community. As we display the white flag, it's time for our first edition of Wins of the Week. So do we have any wins of the week we want to give a shout out to? And again, this doesn't have to be someone that won a race, but maybe just a situation or something or someone they'd like to shout out.
Yes, I have a couple.
Go ahead.
I will start with a late model win this week. I will go to Larry Fitzsimmons with his win over at Granite City. That's kind of a big win for him. Kind of a cool deal. My second win's going to go to the big wheel Scotty Thiel, winning over at Cedar Lake with the IRA 410 sprint cars. He was coming out of corner 4 in a race that really was a battle of attrition, as a lot of people were going out left and right. And he bicycled it, got it up on 2 wheels, and almost lost it, and somehow managed to reel it back in and still be able to pick up the win. And another win of the week is going to go to Christopher Thram, the
I was just going to mention
24,
that.
young kid who just broke I think it was Terry McCarroll record at Cedar Lake with the fastest time in qualifying. So that's a really cool feat. That thing's been there for at least got to be close to 15 years now, if not
Yep.
more. So that's kind of a big deal. And those, I'll give you guys the rest.
Yeah, that track had some moisture in
Sure.
it for sure on Saturday.
I'm surprised they raced.
That's a good point, too. I was actually surprised that they were able to get that show in as well. But IRA puts on a really good show, and I'm sure they really wanted to get that in for that series.
Yep.
John, you got a couple wins?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go over to first of all Mississippi Thunder Speedway. So they ran the Dairyland Showdown with the USRA mods as well as the World of Outlaw late models. They got their show in too. They had to cancel Thursday, but they ran Friday, Saturday. The shows were very good on both days. I watched kind of like the highlight reels for sure for the World of Outlaw late models as well as the mods. But in the mod class, I have to give a shout out to Lucas Schott. He got kind of snickered a little bit on Friday night. Started up front on the pole and ended up third. He did not let that happen on Saturday. Saturday, he ended up winning the mods. And with the modified field over there, they had over 50 cars in the modified class. So really, really, really good win for Lucas. Used to come on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour back in the day too. And come and join us during that week in the July timeframe. So one of the obvious probably wins of the week, but I still have to give it to him. Shane Sabraski, he was on a tear this past weekend. He's got 3 cars now that he's running. He could essentially be one of those drivers that could be a dark horse to win 3 national championships if he would go for it. So we'll kind of keep our eye on Shane here within Minnesota land this year, but he could look like he could be a very, very, very strong contender there for several national championships again. And Shane's already got a boatload of wins already underneath his belt and a lot of years of experience, and he's probably one of the smoothest drivers you can see out there run in any type of division. So that was kind of cool, cool to see there as well. So the other win of the week that I have to kind of give out to, and it's going to go back to kind of the Nodak area when I was up there for the Nodak racing, was I have to give kind of 2 sport mod drivers a really big shout out. First sport mod driver, Cole Hanshu, who was making a return back into that class here for the season. He looked really good on Sunday night, got involved in a wreck, went to the back, came back through the field a little bit here for the feature, only a couple laps left, but he had made his way up to the front pretty handily. He basically got himself into the feature event because they took top 6 from each one of the heat races, started towards the middle to rear of the field, got himself up to the top 10 very easily, and then had that caution. But also the other one I have to give a big shout out to too is Dirk Miller. Dirk Miller has got a very nice looking paint scheme this year in his Zero Sport mod, and he looked very, very good in the feature events this weekend over in Minot. Had a little bit of bad luck, but still was running up basically in the top 5, both in the heat race and as well as the feature event here this past weekend.
Yeah, he looked really good. That was a pleasant surprise. I mean, that car, I bet that's a new car to him and looks really good in it.
Yeah, I had a feeling with that too, Mason, because he looked very good in that car on this, and that car's got a great paint scheme to it too.
It is, yeah, it's a really cool paint scheme. I'll give a shout out to 3 drivers. 2 of them come in the street stocks over to I-94. We'll give a shout out to Nick Shemansky and Casey Usadis. Both of them were involved in a wreck on Friday, DNF'd. Came back on Saturday. Nick was able to get a top 5 finish, was battling very competitively up in the top 5, and Casey finished in the top 7. So nice rebound for both of those drivers from night 1 to night 2. I'm sure it was kind of easy to get discouraged, especially on the first night. People kind of get like have high expectations, and when it kind of gets wrecked, so to speak, on the first night. It's tough to bounce back. But those two drivers were just a couple examples of drivers that bounced back for night number 2 at I-94. The third one, I want to go to Nodak Speedway and give a shout out to Robert Hot Rod Hellebust. It was great to see him back behind the wheel. He was racing Justin Smalls' Meller's car, who Smalls is the president at Nodak Speedway, so he was tending to presidential duties. And Robert was very competitive and ended up with a top 5 finish in the IMCA Modifieds. So great to see Hot Rod back behind the wheel and being competitive. Anything to add for additional wins of the week? Or Jessup, you got something?
Oh, I got something to add. Not wins of the week though. If we get some racing going this weekend, we're gonna get our East-West power rankings or stock car and modified rankings back again this year, and it's gonna be kind of fun to see where everybody lines up.
Yeah, I was going to mention that to you this weekend. It's like, well, we needed some racing to happen on both sides of the state for it to kind of work so we can kind of get something going.
Well, currently there's a top 10 for the east side or the west side.
Yeah. Now we need to get the East going.
Well, you guys got to figure it out. If you don't, we're just going to give the whole field to the west.
You know what it is, Jessup? We just need Mason to like get away from Fargo for a little bit because then they'll actually race.
John, you bring up a very valid
that
point.
doom and gloom rain cloud away from him.
A lot of doom, a lot of gloom.
So here's a question for you. Where would you send me then this weekend?
Where do I not want to race?
Louisiana.
They've had enough weather down there too. I have relatives down in Baton Rouge, and they have plenty.
That way you're away from
there,
the 900-mile radius.
Yeah, there's tracks down there because the USMTS they usually race down there earlier in the year, but
they really early in the year, yeah. Yep.
That'd be kind of fun to go down there.
There's actually quite a few
Well,
tracks
I'm heading to Baton Rouge this next year in the end of April timeframe.
Oh, that's right, for bowling.
Yes, so I will be down there in the end of April.
Nice.
Oh, and don't forget, John, since Dakota Speedway did not race this last week, and you still have a word of the week to try to fit into the broadcast.
Yes, I do. Jessup, are we sticking with that word or are we going to a different word?
We're going to a new word.
Okay, so what's our new word that we're going to fit into the broadcast this week?
Cowabunga.
That'll be perfect.
Actually, I'm gonna have to stop because I think it's Midco's here this week.
No, Beck is here this week, remember?
Beck, yeah. Beck's here this week. So,
but I think they announced it off themselves. I don't think they have us announce it, do they?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just out there today. I can't remember anything, but
either way, I can make it exciting.
I would say you can still fit it in.
Yeah, we'll go Cowabunga.
Very, very easily.
We'll go with Cowabunga. Get a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we come up with, and who knows where I'll be this weekend. I haven't totally released my plans, but I have an idea of where I'm going to end up for this weekend.
Cracks are anxiously waiting because they want to know what they need to do for track prep beforehand.
I'm sure they do.
Does the Pelkey Palace have to start prepping?
Well, I'll let you know within the next 24 hours.
Sounds good.
With that, that'll do it for episode 8 of season 3. As always, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and like and share our videos. Spotify, Google, and Apple is where you can find us if you'd like to listen to us in the podcasting platform. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, The Real Deal with B1, and Issac Hot Sauce Sondrol with Hot Sauce Enterprise. We hope the racing is continued to take place this upcoming weekend, and if so, we will see you out there packing the track.